We're on. Back at you, kid. I think we're ready.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll call the meeting to order. Minutes from the previous meeting. I wasn't here.
Move
I can't vote.
acceptance.
Accept meetings from the previous.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. No one against? Passed.
Director Austin? Yeah. Thank you, Jamie.
We have our work session, and on our discussion, we have the upcoming sewer implementation. So at town meeting last week, Phase 2 funding was approved on the town meeting floor. It still does need to go before the votes tomorrow, but it is looking like we will be going forward with Phase 2. So I wanted to open it up to you guys for questions or comments or discussion on that, beyond what we've already talked about.
No further questions.
Yeah, I agree. Nothing further.
Okay, because right now we're kind of in a holding pattern. We have a year's worth of engineering to finish up, and then they'll start putting pipes in the ground. So what we may get in the meantime is requests for waivers from upgrades of failing or failed systems. So that's something you may see in the next few years before sewer's available. If there's a cesspool or a system that's failed, an inspection that typically we would require upgrade, we may see a request for a waiver. So it's something to keep in mind. And I think the 3 years is pretty much a done deal. We'll be able to start hooking up in about 3 years. So if we do have a failed system, we'll have to find out what is causing the failure. Is it overuse? Is it a broken pipe? Is it a groundwater issue? But I think hopefully those will be few and far between, and that and real estate transfers will be the only two things I think you'll be seeing in the next few years.
Yeah, if they're slated on the list and it's coming, I think you can rest assured that every single person will ask to be deferred, and we can accommodate that.
Yeah, which I would hope they would ask and we would accommodate. I wouldn't want to see any new systems going in
Yeah.
if we can help it. You know, why spend money when you're going to have to take it
Spend
out?
more.
Yeah.
Right.
Something else we can talk about before 7 is my report over the last month. Spring has come. We are busy with real estate transfer inspection reports and building permits. They're just exploding as usual this time of year. We did get approval for some extra hours for Jen to come in the morning to scan files for the sewer project. So hopefully we'll be able to get all of those Phase 2 properties scanned and uploaded so people can look at them before they need it, before the next year comes around. I did meet with our summer intern that we are getting from the Department of Public Health. Her name is Lauren Daniels, and she's a student with UMass Boston, I believe. And she's going to come once a week and work on some healthy living initiatives with the rec program and Council on Aging, trying to get some handouts and some educational material and figure out the best way to disseminate it to the kids and make it interesting and not just a piece of paper they throw away. We did receive our flu reimbursement payment for $3,038.57. That's about what we brought in last year as well, maybe $100 or $2 more. That's from our flu clinic we hold in the fall. We do health insurance reimbursement, so it's
The
pretty
way
good.
things are going, that'll take care of one shot in a few years.
I've seen that, it is going up. Both Hunter and Katie went to a public health inspector training in Worcester. It was for Title V, it was sort of the basics. I've been going to meetings, community development meetings and communities and community meetings on the sewer. Lots of people with lots of questions, so hopefully we're getting those answered. I did help author a position paper on retail sale of marijuana. It's in your packet. It's written by Chief of Police, Chief of Fire Station, myself, the Harwich Youth Counselor, and the town planner, just on different viewpoints on retail sale marijuana. And that was voted at town meeting last week to ban the sale of retail marijuana in town. We have a new owner of the Bonuts restaurant. It's not going to be Bonuts anymore, it's gonna be Cape Kitchen.
Yep.
He's gonna do breakfast and lunch, same setup, breakfast, lunch, and bakery items, so that'll be nice space there. Other things,
Is he any experience?
his business partner is in the food business, never an owner before. So we'll see.
That's good.
Yeah, new venture. They have some experience. Well, his partner does. He's a head chef somewhere, so he's quitting that job to take on this new venture. And Matt, the owner, the business partner, has been in lots of questions. I think he'll do fine.
That's good to see.
Yeah, we also have a new prospective owner of the Claddagh, which is now going to be called the Harwich Tavern, Harwich Inn and Tavern.
Great.
That's moving along with closings and all that. He hasn't taken over officially, but that property will be undergoing some changes. They want to turn it back into more of a bed and breakfast than a tavern.
No more outdoor concerts?
They have not applied for an outdoor entertainment license that I know of.
Oh, good.
So we'll see how that goes. The recreational camp for children regulations were finally amended, as they've been promising over the years. Some revisions are minor, just definitions, documentation, but they did put in Christian's Law, which is the flotation device requirement for non-swimmers whenever they're going swimming in a body of water that's not a pool. It was always an addendum, and now they've incorporated it into the law for camps. Even our rec programs have to abide by that, even though they're not technically camps. They have to do swim tests, fit tests with the PFDs if they're going into the ocean or a pond.
Good.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I take it Christian was a victim?
Christian was a victim. His father dropped him off at camp with his own personal flotation device, and the camp or the program operator said he wasn't allowed to bring his own, and that he wasn't allowed to use it. So Christian went into the water and couldn't swim. They didn't fit test him with one that fit him, and he drowned. I think that was in 2007 or 2008. And ever since then, they've been trying to get Christian's Law going.
Terrible.
Very terrible.
Tough way to become a hero.
All of our seasonal license renewals have gone out. We're missing a couple stragglers. Our friends at Resilient Family Farm have said they are not having a retail food permit any longer, so they should not have retail food in any markets. So if you should see any Resilient Family Farm meat at the grocery stores, let me know.
I mean, the two pigs, they're still gonna kill the two pigs?
Well, he had cattle.
Oh,
He had
okay.
cattle that he was raising and sending out to slaughter. So he was selling that meat at farmers markets and things like that. And he had a freezer full of it, so I'm not sure if over the winter he had reduced his stock or what, but he has said he's not going to pursue the retail food license this year.
I read
Does he
some-
understand that that carries through on his inventory and backwater stuff?
He knows that he needs that in order to get a wholesale license with the state. So his wholesale license is void unless he has a local license.
Strange that he would try to raise cattle, because I heard somewhere that for each cattle you require an acre of grass. You know, and I don't think there's that many acres in there, unless he's only
Well,
got one.
there are plenty of acres, but it's not grass, it's wooded, so I'm not sure not sure how he deals with that. That's kind of it for the report. We could go into permits, if you'd like.
Okay.
15 minutes.
Yeah, we have 15 minutes. We could do permits and then we
Sure.
could do the groundwater protection regulation.
Yeah.
So you have a list of permits in front of you, which one of them is, well, two of them are new food. The first one is the Friends of South Harwich Meeting House. That is the new meeting house. It's not new. They've been working on it for probably 10 years or so on Old Chatham Road. They do have a limited food service. We've inspected it. They bring food in for catered events. They don't do any baking or cooking there on site. Oh, am I? Thank you. Thanks. That's the old one. That's the old one, thanks. We have a bunch of pools and beaches. And they're all the same as last year. No new pools, no new beaches. We've started our beach going around, making sure all the signs are up and everything. So we just need a vote on those.
I didn't realize there was a beach on Robbins Pond. Oh, yes, I do. They keep changing the geology over there with sandbars. You know, they keep plowing sand into areas where they don't want people to walk.
Oh,
I don't know, but I know the beach, now that you mention it. It's right off of good old Eastgate Road.
yes, it's difficult to get to, difficult to find.
That's one of the only roads in town that's officially closed to motor vehicles.
Oh, really?
Maybe you get in, but nobody else should. I used to have a sign up at the Westgate Road exit.
I hear a motion to pass the permits.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in agreement?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, permits passed.
Then we do have one other thing we can get to before the new business. And that is the groundwater protection regulations. So I brought this to you last month and went over the changes in the regulations, and I just wanted to make sure everyone had a chance to read through it, and if there's any additional changes you wanted to make, now's the time. Otherwise, we will print them in the paper for a couple of weeks and put them on next month for a change in regulations to amend them. So again, this one had, in the scope of authority, it referred to a Zone 2 map from 1997. It's been updated. Newest one is 2015, but we'll put a clause in there to have it keep changing whenever the map changes. We won't have to change the regulation. We also changed the Sewage treatment facilities, instead of calling them sewage treatment facilities, we are calling them enhanced nitrogen removal systems, to give everyone a clear idea of what we're talking about there. So those are prohibited in Zone 2's water recharge areas, unless it's for an updated and to remediate an existing problem. And then we added the word fuel to underground storage tanks. So we have underground fuel storage tanks, so we're not confused with any other underground storage tank. Those are the only changes to the draft regulation, to those regulations. So if you would like, we can move forward with printing them in the paper for a public hearing.
You want a motion? Do I hear a motion to pass the changes in the groundwater protection regulation?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay. Is there any other
Not for me.
old business you want to talk about? Because we have about 10 minutes.
I don't know that it is, well, it is a health issue, really. I think the only thing I would mention in the groundwater issue is that the emphasis is on nitrogen, whereas phosphorus is equally dangerous. The difference being that phosphorus doesn't threaten the estuaries as much as nitrogen does. And therefore, it's not a popular thing to talk about. But when Hinckley's Pond was closed, and Swan Pond and Dennis was closed, that was entirely a phosphorus issue. And they had to go in with the alum to knock out the phosphorus. And, you know, I think that ought to be kept in mind, because I'm on a conservation trust and we're having continued discussions with the town about nitrogen reduction at Bank Street Bogs, or what they now call Robert F. Smith Conservation Area. There's a real argument about whether standing water really is the best use of a land for ecological purposes. Because every time you have standing water, you have an increased amount of biotrophication, which is how these blooms start. The cyanobacteria begin to multiply. And so it's a public health issue, because when those bacteria become too numerous, not only is there a terrible odor, but there is hydrogen sulfide is released too, which is poisonous. And I think we ought to just keep in mind that we shouldn't just work on nitrogen, but both nitrogen and phosphorus. That's all.
Thank you.
Town meeting passed alum in Hinckley's Pond.
Yeah, but that's a remedial. I'm thinking more of prevention.
Right, but they did
Some
pass
towns
that.
have outlawed phosphorus-containing fertilizer. And I don't know that anybody would want to see that here, but, you know, too many pretty lawns, you know. You have to have phosphorus in
You don't
it.
have to worry about ours. Ours is a good old Cape Cod one.
Yeah, Cape Cod lawn, you know, that seems to be losing its popularity, shall we say.
I'm the only one on the street. Oh, well. Yeah.
We did inspect the toast of Harwich 2 weeks ago now. I sent Hunter to do those inspections over there. He said everything went well. They brought it back to Wauquasit this year. So I think there were 15 participants. It's always an exciting thing for the inspector to go to the toast of Harwich and see what's going on over there.
Yeah.
He had a good time.
Wauquasit does a good job with
They
everything.
do. Yeah, it was nice when it was at Witchmere as well, but I didn't really like the trolley idea with them it was fun. I didn't go, but it was a fun concept, but to be able to go to Wapquasit or Witchmere is more of an experience.
Sure.
Diesel engine spouting smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, not exactly an ecological triumph.
We've been waiting for you. I'm kidding.
7 o'clock, right?
Right, yes, we're just a boring bunch. We don't have much to talk about.
No.
What else can we talk about?
Should I bring up about discussion in the future on,
Yes, yeah.
with all these, variance requests, especially in the campground area, which, you know, according to regulations, they can do, but I think we need to have a discussion down the road as to how many we are going to allow, and perhaps certain conditions where we should say no.
Just talking
With,
about.
with regards to what?
The, asking for a variance,
Oh.
an expansion of a home, even though it doesn't increase the bedrooms.
But I mean, every one of those houses needs a variance to get a septic system put into the size lot they have.
I think you're talking about the reconsideration of the conditions.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, the reconsideration
Oh.
condition.
So when a variance is granted, you put a condition on the approval of no increase of habitable space. And we have 3 in front of us tonight of previous variances
I see.
where they're asking for reconsideration to that, where they are increasing their space.
Maybe not bedrooms per se, correct?
Right.
The habitable.
One of them is conversion of a porch into a living room. I shouldn't think that would change the water requirements much, or would it? Well, we can
Right.
talk about it at the appropriate time.
Just food for thought.
Okay.
Because we're not talking about bedroom counts there.
No.
You're just talking about they want to do a little bump out, and that's increasing the square footage on the
Right.
property.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, as long as they're not adding a sleeping space to up the head count underneath that roof,
Which we wouldn't allow.
which we wouldn't allow. Or they have a old house that's been in the family that has 8 bedrooms, and it's 1,000 square feet house. I mean, those are the 2 scenarios that we seem to come across most commonly. But I can see people wanting to invest down there and turning something that's been in the family for a long time, that's not really a house per se, into a house, as long as they're not adding people into the house for the nitrogen loading aspect of it. But we'll see.
You still want to see all of them, I would imagine.
I want to see all of them, because it's a case-by-case basis that I think holds the most truth to the matter of keeping a cap on the number of bedrooms, which is really our charge. And the habitable space aspect of it is just kind of a general umbrella that we put on it, so we see them again where they're not building out a living room into a bedroom with some kind of, weatherizing it or something like that, or insulating it. But I think it's important to see them on a case-by-case basis.
We'll see a lot
Oh,
of
yeah,
finished
I'm not
basements.
saying to change that, I'm just saying.
Do we check for Murphy beds and convertible couches and things like that at all? That's not part of the inspection.
No.
No, we do eventually see things like that when a property transfers.
Mhm.
So a building will get built, a house will get built, finished off, and then 5 years down the road, we get an inspection report, and the
Mhm.
inspector does have to go into the house and draw a floor plan. So if they have a basement that they've put beds down, the inspector would note that. It doesn't mean they necessarily have to deconstruct, but we would make note that the basement's not to be used for sleeping or as a bedroom. It's hard to prevent people from using it that way, but we can only do as much as we can do.
Yep, okay.
So they have a way of coming around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think with the sewage treatment plant, coming into our world, that a lot of people are sensitive to it, and hopefully would care more.
Hopefully,
We've put
Does the clock strike 7 yet?
not yet.
No.
We do have the Phase 2 map on our website. You can blow it up and look at your street and see who's where and timelines on there.
I did that. I'm on it.
You're on it.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
So that'll be good to have you'll have some feedback.
yeah. Yes, we will. We're getting, we should have Frank use Acela as a guinea pig, because I think he's already scanned it. So I'm going to site that. See how computer literate you are?
Very. I have lots of help. I have 2 teenagers at home.
Oh, I know, they know so much.
I would like to go to one of the Realtor meetings, though, about Phase 2 sewer, just to let them know where it is. So if they're listing a house and they're thinking about Title V inspection.
I can help you coordinate that. We meet Tuesdays,
Okay.
Typically community center.
Okay.
It's about a half-hour meeting,
Something
and
quick.
yeah, it would be great. We could work on that together.
Okay. We can
And
hand
show
out
up.
the map and the street listing, and just so people are aware of it, so they're not going to hire an engineer to redesign a septic system that doesn't need to be installed,
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's gonna become a prominent question, that and the, just like the flood zone issues, whether or not you're gonna be in septic. I think it's gonna affect the valuations
Yeah.
to some extent. There'll be some keen interest in it.
If it is 7 o'clock now.
7 o'clock?
Mm-hmm.
20 seconds to go.
20.
Did everyone in the audience sign in? If you could, that would be great. Thanks.
I'll call the meeting to order, and for everyone's edification, the meeting is recorded. New business?
We have a hearing for the Cape Cod Regional Technical High School at 351 Pleasant Lake Avenue. Environmental impact report to demonstrate compliance with the Harwich Board of Health Regulation 1.211. Plans prepared by Coastal Engineering.
Good evening. I'm Dave McNevich with Coastal Engineering Company. And we are the civil engineers for the project for the new tech high school that's going to be built. And so, as the notice indicated, we're here under that regulation because we're discharging more than 2,000 gallons per day on the property. The school's been there, was built in the early 1970s, At the time, it was designed for staff and student population of 1,200. That was original, what it was built for. And the new school will have a projected student and staff population at build-out of 775, 650 students and 125 staff. So less than what the present school was built for. And so what's out there now is a pre-1978 Title V septic system. It does consist of all the components: septic tank, distribution boxes, leaching pits, which were really similar to what the 78 code was. The leaching facility is located inside the track. If you're all familiar with the property, I'm sure you must be. And the new sewage disposal system will be, the SAS for that will be situated down in a grassy area. It's an existing grassy area. It's going to get probably enlarged a little bit and regraded, but next to the football field. So it's getting shifted a little south of where the existing, southeast of where the existing leaching facility is. So we had when you look in Title V, it says for a secondary school such as this, the per capita design flow is 20 gallons per day. But there is an allowance in there for schools. That's a number that just seems, we've been dealing with it for a long time. It's pretty high for what schools actually use. Part of it is not, I mean, the use of the showers and those sorts of things is not what it used to be. So there is a provision in Title V that you can apply to Mass DEP for a flow factor variance based on water usage. We did that on behalf of the school and determined that the average daily flow was 5.6, not even 4.9 gallons per day. Anyway, the flow factor doubled. It's 10.3 gallons per day. So 5.1 is what the actual use is. Double it, it's 10.3. And that is what Mass DEP approved as the design flow instead of 20 gallons per day per person. So at build-out, the flow will be just shy of 8,000 gallons per day for the site. The original septic system, or the septic system that exists out there now, was designed for 24,000 gallons per day. Again, that was based on the a factor of 20 gallons per day per person, 1,200 persons. So when we looked at the nitrogen loading for all sources of nitrogen on the property, even looking at the existing school now, what it was designed for, 1,200 persons, and using the 10.3 gallons per day factor that we're actually seeing, the nitrogen concentration would be about 6.1 milligrams per liter. With the project as proposed, that will actually be reduced to 5.5 milligrams per liter. Looking at pounds of nitrogen per year from the facility, we'd be going down from about 2,269 pounds of nitrogen per year down to 1,967 pounds per year. So a reduction in nitrogen loading, both in concentration and in total pounds for the year. One of the things as we conducted this investigation and an evaluation, where the existing soil absorption system is located inside the track, and we looked at the MEP study, where the existing SAS is located, it actually flows toward Hinckley Pond, and there is a Zone 2. Hinckley Pond, the eastern edge, or Zone 2 to a municipal water supply well, captures Hinckley Pond. And right now, the projected flow path is toward Hinckley Pond from the existing leaching facility. The relocated leaching facility will actually shift that to a different sub-watershed, and the flow path is not projected towards Hinckley Pond in its proposed location, so it would miss that. And then there's also another Zone 2, doesn't quite extend as far to the east as Hinckley Pond, but there's a second Zone 2 that it's about 3,400 feet away from the proposed SAS. We'd be outside that Zone 2. So we're not, the flow path, the projected flow path based on the MEP study is not towards any of the Zone 2s. So we feel that that's a good thing in the proposed location. We also included in the report a discussion about the flow path, and the projection is that the effluent plume from the SAS would head into the Lothrop Road sub-watershed, where there'd be about 50% attenuation of the nitrogen going through that system. We also looked at, just before that, there is a pond upgrading of the Lothrop Road marsh system, where potentially there could be some additional nitrogen attenuation, but depending on how the mixing of the plume in the water table, whether it actually passes through that pond or not, we may or may not get additional nitrogen attenuation there. The bottom line is that this project will result in a reduction in nitrogen over the conditions that have existed there since the early 70s. It will be a fully compliant Title V system designed to current standards, and that there would be no adverse impact from this proposed project in this proposed sewage disposal system.
That's good.
Sounds good.
They're not on our radar to hook up to surge anytime soon, right? Yeah, just a luck of the draw.
Recommendation?
They are using industrial holding tanks for their floor drains, which is a good thing. They have some science labs and some outbuildings that will have vehicle storage, so there's 4 of them?
There's 4 industrial waste tanks.
Industrial waste tanks. They're doing away with the dentist program there, so there won't be any chemicals from that any longer. They will still have the mechanical lab there, and they're proposing an industrial holding tank for that as well. This is a reduction in the nitrogen load, and I do recommend approval of the environmental impact report and feel it's in compliance with regulation 1.211.
Right.
Okay. Any comments from the audience? Okay. I'm going to close the hearing. Discussion on the board.
I so move that the recommendation of the health director be approved.
Okay, second.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
The motion's passed.
Nice job.
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It's an upgrade. Good locations for all the stuff.
Next, we have a hearing for Wilder Way, formerly 1522 and 1546 Orleans Road, an 8-lot subdivision, an environmental impact report to demonstrate compliance with Harwich Board of Health Regulation 1.211, plans prepared by Clark Engineering.
Good evening, David Clark, Clark Engineering. You saw this a month and a half ago or so as a preliminary, and I briefly went through what we were going to propose as far as limiting the development in the initial phase, pending the extension of the sewer into East Harwich. To that end, the impact report is based upon the notion that your shared system requirement for subdivisions, the threshold is 5 lots or more. So we would be willing to limit the development of this subdivision to 4 lots initially, with a total of 16 bedrooms, so that we would be under the threshold for a shared system with IA technology. We would still sewer the entire subdivision, all 8 lots, and collect the wastewater and dispose of it in a standard Title V system for 16 bedrooms. So all the infrastructure would be in the ground when the sewer became available, and it should be a relatively easy hookup once the sewer is available in Route 39. I provided nitrogen loading calculations showing that 16 bedrooms on the 8-acre parcel would be less than 5 parts per million without treatment. So downstream receptors, we didn't do monitoring wells on the property, but based upon USGS information, groundwater is trending to the east, or the Pleasant Bay estuary, which is the primary focus of your regulation that requires a shared system with IA. The wastewater system, again, would be at the street end. On the 39 end, one of the project plans shows the collection system and the shared Title V system. Stormwater will also be treated before disposal. Because we're disturbing more than 1 acre, we're required to comply with the Massachusetts stormwater standards. And this is for 2 reasons. One, it's a Zone 2, and second, we have rapid infiltration soils, so we're required to treat the stormwater prior to disposal. So again, the project plans will show treatment units for all the stormwater systems on the property. So we believe that the completed project would have minimal or no impacts to what the Board of Health is required to protect, mainly groundwater and public health, safety, and the environment.
Recommendation?
You're requesting an 8-lot subdivision, and you're only going to be developing 4 lots.
Yes, if something changed, like the sewer getting delayed beyond what the initial estimate is, 2021, we would come back and either get a shared system with IA technology permitted, or wait, one of the two. But we recommend the condition that no more than 16 bedrooms be developed until such time the project is connected to the municipal sewer.
I recommend the approval of the subdivision plan dated 4/10/2018 by Clark Engineering LLC, as well as the environmental impact report dated 4/2018, and feel they're in compliance with regulation 1.211. I recommend the following conditions. Development is restricted to a maximum of 4 lots, 16 bedrooms, 1760 gallons per day, until such time as municipal sewer is available for use. Each lot is restricted to a maximum of 4 bedrooms. In order to prepare for connection to the municipal sewer, the waste lines will exit the buildings on the street side. The Board of Health will not consider any variances from Title V or Harwich Board of Health regulations for any of the lots, and the subdivision will be served by town water.
Comments from the audience? Okay. I close the hearing. Comments from the board?
The existing house there is not part of the subdivision, I assume?
Correct.
Okay, so, I see.
The developer does own that lot, and he hasn't made up his mind yet as to whether he wants to connect it in. Obviously, when the sewer becomes available, that property will be ordered to hook to the sewer, so it makes sense to do it now, and be done with it, and get the landscaping back together, as opposed to waiting. But it's his decision.
The hookup with the sewer main will be at the intersection?
Yes, yeah, so that, I anticipate the town providing a manhole in the main line on 39, and our last manhole is oriented so to be 20 feet tops as far as excavation to connect the two.
It will be on Wilder Way rather than on 39?
No, whenever there's an intersection of two sewer mains, is required to be a manhole.
Yeah, I understand.
so-
Where's the manhole? Is it on 39 or on Wilder Way?
There'll be one on Wilder Way, too.
Okay, so there'll be two manholes.
Altogether, on Wilder Way, I think there's 4, maybe 5. Every time it's a change in direction, you have to have a manhole.
Okay.
Do I hear any other questions?
No, I'm all set.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion. We'll
There you go.
accept the recommendations of the Megan.
As so said.
Health Director.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Good luck.
For the sewer.
That was a lot to reply to,
Yes, there is.
Megan. Thank you.
Next, we have a hearing for Radlow 7 Ginger Plum Lane to consider a variance request to install a new Title V septic system prepared by Sweetser Engineering. Variance is from 310 CMR 15.2111, minimum setbacks to allow the soil absorption system to be 96 feet from the dune where 100 feet is required. Variance request of 4 feet. No reserve area provided, and from the Harwich Board of Health regulation, per Harwich Board of Health regulation 1.210, distance requirements to allow the soil absorption system to be 96 feet from the dune, where 100 feet is required, variance request of 4 feet.
I hereby open the hearing.
Good evening, Robin Wilcox, professional land surveyor from Sweetser Engineering, representing the Radlow Estate. This is a 9,700 square foot parcel. If there was no house on the lot, I believe it would probably be 100% dune. As you can tell by the elevations, we're up at elevation 20 plus with septic systems, house and everything else. But we are right on the beach. Literally, the only reason that the dune is delineated where it is because it's the only area that doesn't already have structure on it. We have been to Conservation Commission. We did receive a negative determination from them, so that's a positive. That means, yes, you're free to go with what you're proposing to do. The good news is we're very high above water table in this particular instance. We did locate the abutting house. We looked at the possibility of shifting it over so that we'd meet the 100 feet from the dune, but we would be within 20 feet of the abutting foundation. And rather than create a problem for them and avoid one more variance from a lot line, that's the reason for the request, the way that it came in. It is designed as a 5-bedroom. There are a lot of rooms in this house. And some of the rooms are downstairs. They are more than 50% below grade. but they do have bunk beds in them. They do not have an egress window. There's 2 rooms down there that are like that. I chose to accept one of them as a bedroom and the other one to call it storage. That's why there's 4 upstairs, and there's those 2 rooms downstairs. And I chose to call one of them because people sleep there.
Yeah, but then you're worried about fire, I presume, is that it?
Fire department would not like it.
Yeah.
It doesn't meet the minimum standards for human habitation as far as a bedroom is concerned, because it's more than 50% below grade.
And no window. Right.
They have large openings over the windows that allow for almost a full-size window, not an egress window,
You mean a window well?
a window well.
Yeah,
And they're oversized.
yeah.
In the case of an emergency, I could get out through it. I wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
I do my best to go out the other way, but if in an emergency, you could go out through it. It doesn't meet the criteria as being an egress window because it must be at least 24 by 24. And it is not that size. The house, Mrs. Radlow has lived in it since the 1970s. She's passed away. It's family-owned at this point in time. The family is going to continue to own it. It sits idle for approximately 8.5 months out of the year. Doesn't mean that it will continue that
I
way.
was gonna say that.
Doesn't mean that but that's the way that it has been, and the daughter has said that the family is going to continue to use it the way that they have been. They just want to bring it up to grade at this point in time before they close out their mother's estate.
Recommendation?
The assessor's office does have this as a 5-bedroom house, so if you're concerned about the number of bedrooms, they do consider it an existing 5-bedroom dwelling. And it's currently served by cesspools. They're proposing to upgrade to a 1,500-gallon septic tank and a soil absorption system. The variance request is dimensional as well as environmental. However, I do believe the plan provides for maximum feasible compliance. And it is a great improvement over the existing conditions. I recommend the approval of the variance with conditions of restriction to 5 bedrooms, no increase in square footage or habitable space.
No, could there be?
Right? You'd be surprised. The variances and conditions are to be recorded at the Registry of Deeds and no garbage disposal.
Okay, comments from the audience? I close the hearing.
So moved.
Any questions?
No, I have none.
Okay. Motion?
I move that the recommendation of the health director be approved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you very much. I usually only hit you about once a year, and it's been 3 years that I haven't been here.
Nice to see you
And
back.
Jen is extremely grateful.
Continue to-
You can't thank them. You can't thank them now.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, we have a hearing for Perks Taylor Powell for 554 Route 28 to reconsider an order of conditions granted May 1st, 2012, which was that the building is to remain unoccupied annually between September 5th and May 1st. This will be enforced via an annual turn-off requested established at the Harwich Water Department.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Hi, I'll open the meeting.
Okay, sorry.
No, I'm fine. Go ahead.
Oh, wait, okay. My name's Taylor. I flew up here from Florida a little early this year.
Your last name?
Taylor Powell.
Okay.
I run Perks. I'm the manager there. It's my place. I started from the ground up, and every year I'm trying to obviously improve and help improve the town. Reason I'm here is our water's not turned on right now, and our permit says May 1st. So this is every year that our allowable time isn't really being used because we don't use it at all during May. So what I've noticed are, sometimes we have these weekends in the fall. It doesn't always happen, but we could have an Indian summer where some of these people come down on the weekends. Everybody has noticed town is growing. I think it would be a benefit to the town that if we could just not ask for more time, because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm asking just to switch the dates on our application. So, if I opened up a calendar the other day and I counted right before Memorial Day to Columbus Day is 100, actually, from our permitted time. Let me start there. So, you said September 5th. I just wanted to make sure we all know that it says September 15th. So what we're allowed to use is May 1st to September 15th, and then anytime after that, the water's turned off. So like I said, it's already at the 14th. I'm not going to schedule to turn the water on to the end of the month, right before my health inspection, before we open up, and that's what I do every year. We pump the septic every year. We're not required to do so. I don't think that was ever written in, but there's been nothing in our grease trap. I just wanted to point that out, that I can provide reports if needed, but there's been sludge. Just had a hard time getting anything out of there. Even though you guys give us 138 days, I also wanted the board to know that we don't use it 138 days. So we open weekends only. When I first started the business years ago, I had no clue what I was doing, to be honest with you. And I made it my goal, my passion, my dream to learn the business. So I managed restaurants. I tried to learn the industry and how these things work. So in the beginning, we were open 7 days a week when we first opened, 8, 9 years ago. But I looked at the numbers. I looked at payroll. More money went out the door than in. So now I put the operating hours to revolve around the school system. So we open weekends only. So even though you give us 138 days, we don't even use it 100 days of the year for business purposes only. We do weekends only. We start Memorial Day weekend. That's our first opening weekend. We close for the whole following week. We open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, half a day on Sunday, half a day on Friday. We do the same thing until school's out. Once school's out, we open 7 days a week, and then we usually close right after Labor Day. But again, that's why I'm here, just to move these dates. It's really, that's about it. I don't really have anything more. One thing, my wife and I would be very grateful in whatever decision you guys do come up with, but now that I'm here, I'm probably not going to be here for a while in the sense of being in front of you. Maybe I will in the future, I don't know, but it's been a long time since I have been here. That if we could change the verbiage in this permit to just say 138 days, or however you guys would see fit to properly word it, that if the apartment, because there's a bedroom apartment upstairs that I live in, you just give me a couple days just to have the water on where I could set up every year, make sure the furniture, everything's good, and then winterize the building and just get out. If not, that's fine. I'll cut it to I'll cut it real close to the time I'm asking for. But it would be nice to say, okay, your business can be open from here to here, which is what we currently agreed on years ago, and that you have a leniency of a couple of days just to make sure, just for the apartment only, the business can't operate. So I think that'd be the major fear, that there's major flow to this septic system. It's a 1-bedroom apartment. It's classified as a 2-bedroom, but it's a 1-bedroom. My wife and I are the only people who live there. If not, it's okay. But I'm just throwing it out there, that would help us. Because there's a lot involved in setting up a business. I mean, every year, I'm opening a new business.
Yeah.
Even though I've been in business every year I have to break down, I have to winterize the building. I mean, so I'll do it on the day, which is it's a push, it's a squeeze, but if you gave me a couple of days, that'd be cool. But if not, I understand. So that's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I'd just like to move the dates on our permit, just so we can kind of help benefit this town and keep up with it. I think even the retail shops and other restaurants, and Harwich is growing. People want to walk around and shop, and just because they come to the restaurant one night doesn't mean they don't go buy a book or go to a retail shop the next day. Something they notice as they're walking back to their car or something.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I can
Health Director?
give you a little background on this property. So the septic system was installed in 2008, and the design capacity for the system is 482 gallons a day, which includes 220 gallons for the apartment retail space, and then what's left over is 160 gallons a day for the restaurant food service. And in 2012, there was a request for outdoor seating, and that is when the conditions of the water shutoff came about. And along with that condition of the water shutoff came other conditions, such as no interior seats, convenient seats only outside, no glassware, no china. It's all paper, plastic products. And the board approved that at the time in 2012, and they thought that was a good compromise between a full septic system and what there was there to use. So I do recommend the approval of the change in dates of occupancy. I do want to reiterate the conditions and make sure they still remain in place of no interior seats. Food is takeout only with convenient seating, no table service, only disposable products are to be used. The on-site restroom is for employee use only. The number of exterior seats cannot exceed 33, and the exterior seats shall remain open air, totally open to the elements and weather dependent. And the building is to be unoccupied between, if you want to set a date of May 20th instead of before Memorial Day, because it tends to change a day here and there. So between May 20th, can only be, the water can be on between May 20th and October 20th, and then off the remainder of the year. That should give you a few days before and a few days after to set things up and break things down.
Did you really mean unoccupied in the summer?
No, I
Okay.
didn't.
Pardon?
I didn't, it should be, can only be occupied.
Yeah, okay.
Between
Now
May,
it makes sense.
yes. It's to be occupied annually.
Do you agree with those conditions?
That'd be great.
Okay.
That works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Comments from the audience? I hereby close the meeting. Comments from the board?
No, I'd like to accept the recommendations of the health officer.
Okay. Second?
With one correction, unoccupied to occupied.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I will second it with that correction.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right?
The motion's passed. Thank
Okay,
you.
Good
thank
luck.
you. You guys have a great night.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
have a good season.
Thank you.
Okay. The next hearing we have is for Dolan, 9 Cottage Avenue, to reconsider order of conditions granted November 12th, 2002. No increase in square footage, habitable space, or number of bedrooms to the dwelling beyond those shown on plan dated October 30th, 2002. Proposal is to build out the unfinished area of the basement to include a TV media room, home office, and a powder room consisting of a vanity and a toilet.
Good evening.
Open the meeting.
My name's Michael Dwyer. I'm representing the Dolan family. Basically, the children of the Dolan are
Is that right?
high school and college age, and the room is geared to have a TV media room downstairs for the kids to hang out and watch TV and give us some space to the first floor of the house. The stairs coming down to the house, the room will be on the left and right side of the open stairway, so there will be no closed rooms. There will be a section, it is a walkout basement. There will be a section where the storage for patio furniture and everything like that will be as they come in there. And then just to enclose the existing toilet and add a vanity to give a little privacy for a powder room.
You done? Okay.
Pretty simple.
Any questions from the audience? Okay, I hereby close the hearing. Discussion?
I was wondering about the privacy thing, but I figured it out based on your explanation.
Yeah, the stair comes down towards the front of the house from the main,
Yeah,
and both sides are open stairway,
yeah.
so it's wide open, and we're just going to finish
I
up
hear
those
you.
walls.
I move that the,
Wait a minute.
No, I have nothing.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I was gonna say health
I
inspector.
move that the recommendation of the health director.
We haven't heard it yet.
Be approved. Well,
I can
I'm
give that
sorry,
to
I
you
read
now.
it.
It's okay.
How rude.
Um,
I
Close the hearing.
apologize.
So the septic system was upgraded in 2002 when they needed a couple of setback
Do
variances.
we close this hearing? Before
I
you
opened the
open it?
hearing
Right.
again.
You did close it, I believe.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm all messed up now. Okay, I reopened the hearing. No, I've closed the hearing.
Okay,
Okay, yeah, I did.
there you go.
Now you'd like to hear my recommendation?
And now, please,
Okay.
your recommendation.
So when those variances were granted in 2002, there was a condition that there will be no further expansion or increases in square footage. In 2007, the owners applied for reconsideration of that order to increase the space on the second floor. They did combine 2 bedrooms, so they went from a total of 4 bedrooms to 3.
That's
Right,
Yeah.
right now, there is 3 bedrooms, 2 on the second floor and 1 on the first floor. And they are planning on finishing space in the basement. The alteration does include a living space and a home office, but it is open to both sides on the railing. And it is a half bath without a shower in the basement. And I recommend approval of the reconsideration with the following conditions. The dwelling is restricted to 3 bedrooms. No increase in habitable space or square footage without further review by the Board of Health. The rooms in the basement shall not be used for sleeping purposes, and a copy of the floor plan and the approval shall be recorded at the Registry of Deeds to run with the property.
Okay,
Now then,
now do I
I
hear a motion?
move that we approve the recommendation of the health director.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I don't mind.
Have a good evening.
You don't
You
have
too.
to hear from me.
Good luck.
Okay.
Next, we have a hearing for Riker 35 Strand Way to reconsider order of conditions granted January 7th, 2014. No increase in habitable space, flow, design, number of bedrooms, and square footage to the dwelling, as seen on the plan dated 12/2/13, revised 12/23/13. The proposal is for a second floor addition on the existing guest room within the existing footprint.
I hereby open the meeting. Hi.
Hi, good evening. I'm Stephanie Sequin. I'm an engineer with Ryder and Wilcox, and I'm representing Jerry and Claire Richer, who are the owners of the property at 35 Strand Way. It's a developed site. It overlooks Nantucket Sound, and we're requesting a modification of the existing order of conditions. It sounds like that's a trend you're on this evening. I saw a few on the agenda. So there's an existing 5-bedroom house with an attached garage and guest room. The original building dates back to the early 1900s, I believe. Back in 2014, we submitted a plan to upgrade the septic system. There were variances granted at that time, and the variances were granted with the conditions that there be no increase in habitable space, bedrooms, floor area, et cetera. So we're coming back to you to modify those conditions to allow a second-story addition to go above the existing guest room on the attached garage. I've included a set of the existing floor plans. What's currently in the back of the attached garage is listed as a guest suite. It has a full bath as part of it. And what's being proposed is to convert that space on the first floor to a living area and add a stairway that will go up to a new bedroom above on the second floor with a full bath, so that existing room will be the access to the bedroom above, and therefore won't have privacy because there's a traffic pattern through it. So there's no increase in the number of bedrooms. There is no change in the footprint, so we're not encroaching on the existing septic system in any way. This has been, we filed an administrative review with the Conservation Commission, and that has been signed off on, so we have the approval we need from the Conservation Commission for this. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
recommendation?
The septic system was upgraded in 2014 with the need for 4 variances. They're coming back for a reconsideration of one of those conditions, and they're requesting to add the second floor onto the guest suite. It does not increase the number of bedrooms. I recommend approval of the reconsideration with the following conditions. The dwelling should be restricted to a maximum of 6 bedrooms, no increase in habitable space or square footage without further review by the Board of Health, and a copy of the floor plan and approval to be recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
Okay.
All right?
Comments from the audience?
Just the condition that the floor plan be recorded at the Registry of Deeds has, I don't know if we've done that in the past, and I'm just concerned about, I believe this is land-courted property, and I just don't know how that will fly with land court.
It won't. So
Okay.
if it is land court property, we'll describe it instead of having a drawn floor plan.
Okay,
So we'll describe all of the floors.
okay, in your approval letter? Okay, perfect, thank you.
How many bedrooms are there?
6 total.
Thank you. So no questions, okay, I'll close the hearing. Comments from the board?
I'm sorry.
Any comment?
No, no.
I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the health officer.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have a hearing for Archibald 8 Atlantic Avenue to reconsider an order of conditions granted November 17th, 1993, reconsidered on February 23rd, 2000, and reconsidered again on January 8th, 2008. No increase in square footage to the dwelling. The proposal is to enclose the existing first floor porch into habitable space as it faces Atlantic Avenue and add said space to the existing living room.
Evening, Attorney Bill
In
Kroll.
the hearing?
Thank you. Attorney Bill Kroll for the petitioner tonight, and I have Kathy Demeyer here seated to my right from Encore Construction. Surprise, surprise, it's a request for reconsideration of an existing order of conditions. As outlined in the notice and in the legal ad, we're seeking to enclose the first floor porch area into habitable space as it faces Atlantic Avenue. That will add space to the existing living room. There'll be no change in the footprint of the dwelling, no addition of any bedroom space, anything of that nature, to making the porch, enclosing the porch into habitable space. This board granted an original order of conditions December 6, 1993. That was revised March 8, 2000, revised again February 15, 2008. I submitted with the petition the septic plan by Moran Engineering dated November 2, 1993, and existing conditions and proposed alteration plans by Encore Construction dated April 25, 2018, and some pumping records by Robert Hour of November 20, 2013, and February 22, 2017, to show compliance with pumping every 3 years. We would ask that the board reconsider that order of conditions and allow for the increase in habitable space as outlined in the petition. Thank you.
Okay. Health Director?
This is the third reconsideration request. They are asking to add square footage onto the dwelling by enclosing an existing porch onto the first floor to incorporate it into the living room. They are not increasing bedroom number, and they're not causing any future setback issues with the existing septic system. The addition is proposed to be on sonotubes as well. I recommend approval of the reconsideration with the conditions of the dwelling is restricted to a maximum of 2 bedrooms. No further increase in habitable space or square footage without further review by the Board of Health, and a copy of the floor plan and approval to be recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
Okay. I close the hearing. Any questions from the board?
Nope.
I hear a motion.
I so move that the recommendations of the health director be approved.
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You thought you were going to have a long night tonight.
Yeah, we did.
Not over yet.
It's never over.
Only 16 trees were harmed.
Yes, right,
Meeting.
right.
5-inch stack of paper.
We'll be emailing in the future and FaceTiming the hearings, right?
All right. Sounds good. Attorney Jetson. Take care. That's it.
Somebody has to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yes.
Done.
Thank you.
Meeting
That
adjourned.
was amazing.
Yep, that was good.
Well,
wonderful.
You did your work very well.
Well, thank you.
A lot of pre-meeting work there.
Yeah.